Neptune went to 29 degrees. So, so we're in some kind of chaotic, the energy is a little chaotic right now, and people are processing. And like my mom fell down the stairs over the weekend. So please send prayers to my mom. She's in the hospital right now, beat up really bad. Like ruptured spleen, concussion, the whole 9 yards. But it's sort of what's kind of happening. Neptune has gone to 29 degrees. So, so what that basically means is that if you have any remaining stuff you haven't faced, it's coming up. It's coming up all at once, and usually a bit of a what's the word? Usually a bit of a chaotic emergency sort of setting.
And why is it jarring? Like, is there a reason for this painful negativeness that we experience some of these things?
Yeah, it's in proportion to your resistance to heal. So the bigger the jar, the more you are resisting.
Okay.
So you can measure the resistance by the jar.
There you go. Oh.
Yeah, my mom was completely resisting. I've been worried for a long time, honestly. Like, you know, my mom is a baby boomer. I've been telling her a whole bunch of, I mean, my whole family's like, it's time to come out of the 70s. Like, we've been like, and I was worried. I have told my brother when we were in the hospital, I'm like, I told you this was going to happen. Like, I was feeling it build up because mom was resisting, you know, like she wasn't letting go of certain stuff. And so
and what's her name?
My mom's name is Cassandra.
Cassandra. Yeah. Just so everybody can send light to Cassandra.
Send her some love.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it because she's a sweet lady, and she actually is just a sweet lady who wants to do it her way. But I'm like, Mom, God has its own plan. So the truth of the matter is that we're in a very interesting moment on Earth where people signed up to grow with the Earth's ascension this lifetime. If you're alive now, you plan to ride this pony. You already made the choice by being here. I think a lot of the sudden deaths and things that have happened through all these controversies that we all know about, really in the big picture thing, that was a soul contract. They weren't going to stick around for this hard part. They're like, get me out of here and I just want one shot and I'm gone. Like they wanted a one and done exit strategy. So although it's a learning lesson, it's dark, it's all this stuff, it's not without signature in heaven. Like this was the plan. So people had planned to ascend or to descend, one of the two. There's no staying where we're at. So you're either your vibrations either start to get darker and darker, or it's going to start to get lighter and lighter, right? And we're at this point now where the universe is saying, okay, you know, pick your spot. Like, what's it going to be? So those who haven't been going higher are going to get body slammed one time. Like, this is your warning. You know, you cannot stay here anymore.
Right.
You either are going to deteriorate and continue to break down like bacteria and soil and ride that thing down like Atlantis. So you either ride this Earth down to its destruction with Atlantis, or you come higher. But we're closing this one down, this channel that we're currently in.
Yeah, that's an amazing story and metaphors. Thank you for that. Because you have to be going in a direction, right? And when you're talking about having, checking out, basically graduating this existence, it reminds me of, I know so many people that have lived, it almost seems like a different life in this life, primarily due to like accidents, where now they don't have a limb, or I'm just thinking of extreme examples. Like it just came up when you said so. And because all of these people lived in such a elevated way, almost like they didn't have to remain here for another 70 years because they've accomplished so much in the first 20 to 30 years, that there's like, okay, this is chapter number 2 for you. And the people that I'm thinking of, they're happy, even if they can't walk, they're like some of the most happy people. And I know many of these people, and they all kind of have the same relationship with what they're doing. It's like, I came here, I lived fully for one lifetime, and now this is like part 2 lives in one go.
We often do have 2 lives in what we have. Actually, astrology says you have at least 3.
Oh,
which are by Saturn. So your Saturn, so Saturn returned 30 and then 60. So up to 30 is pretty much you're awakened to your past lives. And from 30 to 60, you're working with your past lives. And then 60 to 90, you're doing new territory. Like you're forging new karma is like what it works out to be. Now, people have different timelines. They'll start and stop before. But I do think that those people actually are ahead of the game. So the deal was when we came here, there's 2 phases of Earth in this lifetime. From what I understand, this is just looking at the brochure. According to the brochure, the first half of our lifetime is clearing up and healing all of our past life accumulated spiritual junk. So these people who have been injured and whatnot, I think actually what happened was they were starting off the life without those past life memories. The injury was the past life trauma coming back. And now that they're happy on their side, they've achieved the goal. They've healed their past life trauma.
Yeah.
But in a way, they're actually ahead of us. The rest of us, like Gary's down today, probably just because the Earth is like, Gary's so busy helping others. The thing is with light workers, we don't understand. Like it's not we're hypocrites. We're not. But we're so busy healing others that we quite often get behind in our homework. And so God body slams us. And we have to work it out sort of in quick spurts. So I imagine he's getting a last minute adjustment there from the universe.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be pristine by Austin. And you're gonna be so you've got your event mid Austin or mid May, right? What are the dates for those, and how can people get on board with that?
So first of all, I'll be at the Human Garage event on the 12th on Mother's Day. So I'll be representing there. And then the following weekend, May 18th and 19th, is called Unite the Light, which is a lightworker summit for people who are do-gooders and good Samaritans. It's sort of a Good Samaritan conference where we just talk about, first of all, thank God for us, the earth, so there's a little gratitude for who we are. So there's some soul support between each other. And that's at unitethelight.love, unitethelight.love. We do have general admission tickets available, and we do have streaming tickets available too. If you want a sneak peek on several influencers, how they built their business, what their goals are, what we feel is important going into the new era, some chit chat about what we're seeing in trends. So it's really a conference for people who are here to help the world, is what it is.
Are you staying at the ranch all week?
I am, for the most part, yeah. Yeah, nice. Until Wednesday. Yeah, I'll be there. You're gonna be there too, right?
Yeah. I don't think we're leaving. It's like 2.5 hours outside of Austin.
Oh, I know that was a shocker for me.
It was. It was like out of left field for us too.
But yeah, because I'm used to having things, and it's gonna be in the middle of Texas, so
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see why it is we're there, right? I mean, obviously it's being curated by the team. They chose that place for some magical reason, and it wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm super excited to go into it and see what the week holds for all of us who are there.
It's an organic farm with a master chef as the owner.
Oh,
yeah. So you're eating food grown on the farm and made by a master chef on the farm. So it's like a super high vibration food experience. That's why they chose that place.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what else is going on in the realm of people? Like for the people that are watching, what could be important for them?
Well, this is honestly, we're in a very powerful moment. So going back in the context to what we're talking about, this is a moment where people are shifting from their first story on Earth to their next story on Earth. Okay. So we all had 2 stories we plan to do. One of them is to heal yourself. The other is to raise to the next, to create the new Earth, whatever that means. And some people realize that you can do whatever you want. Some people's new Earth will be more hell on Earth, like more of that dystopia. So I think some people will choose to merge with technology and will continue to take pharmaceuticals and will continue to lower their frequency and get sort of zapped by the system. And then some people will elect to vibrate higher in spiritual consciousness. And this week, basically, you're choosing which direction you want to create in, because we have a new moon, a very powerful new moon, tomorrow night in Taurus at 18 degrees. It's actually my birthday tomorrow night too, so I'm just gonna do a shout out to myself. Yay, yay me for being alive. Yes. That new moon is that your heart is going to commit to what you want, basically. So what is everyone right now is, and you may go, I'm not creating anything. Oh no, when you're thinking about how you want to add on to the house you're creating, when you're thinking about how you wish you could, write a book in the woods you're creating. It's that creative consciousness of what you want to create, is the question of this week. But whatever it is you're creating is basically setting your destiny. So people, whether they know it or not, because sometimes it's just you walk into a store and your destiny has changed. Sometimes you meet a chick behind a bar, like at a counter, and your destiny's changed. So, recognize that sometimes when I say your destiny's changing this week, sometimes it's a very subtle. You got to be really good at reading the matrix to be able to know that small moment, how profound it is. But for those of us who are aware and awake, you'll get goosebumps. You'll get a wave of heat go up and down your body. Your body will tell you this is a very significant moment, and it represents the timeline that you are basically changing your vibration to. And this is the railroad crossing right here. So what happens is after this railroad crossing this week, based on what you're creating, and I guess if you want to get real simple, are you creating from your heart or are you creating from fear? So if you're creating from fear, you're on the wrong school bus. You are heading for disaster, and a self-made disaster. And right. So people will create either their heaven or their disaster in this next 40 days, basically. Yeah. And some people need to crash the ship to learn. So it's not a bad thing.
Right. I'm glad you're saying that, because we don't need to bring in fear or a sense of failure or shame into this. If it happens, it's happening perfectly. And so for me, I call it reading the map of reality. I don't get the goosebumps thing, but I know a lot of people do. And I don't.
What do you get? What's your affirmation? How does the universe talk to you?
So for me, it's always pattern recognition. It's like this thing almost like lights up in my reality because I was either just thinking of it or contemplating about it, or I see like a pattern. There's a connection between something that was already held in my consciousness and then like the type of car that I was just talking, So for instance, I was trying to decide, I was with a business partner. We were getting a house to kind of like post up our office. And we were trying to decide between two houses. And he was obsessed with this one particular type of car that he was also going to buy at the same time. We went to go look at a couple houses. One of them was less nice, but the car that he was going to get was parked literally like next to the driveway out front. And I was like, Scott, like, to me, this seems like that's your car. This is us. Like, we're already here. And anyways, we made the other house choice, and we basically lost like $200K in 6 months. The business just tanked. Whoa. And there's always a part of me that's always like, what would have happened if I would have pushed stronger on my sensation that I knew that this is the direction we should be going? Not that I regret it or anything, but that's just an example of like how I get these hits of like, it seems like this is the way that's more in line with the choices that we're making.
I'm glad you said that. So I look at that as sign language. So you read sign language. Okay. That is like, that's the universe signing with you. Like, I think like, and it's like, sounds like 2 seconds. And like, there's all sorts of symbols, and conscious sort of a game show. You're constantly reading the signs and you're following the signs. And I think that's very good. I mean, I look for that. That's a part of my lingo too. As far as reading the universe, are those signs. The signs are pointing to, and you look for those signs. I also have body signs in my body, Mm-hmm. So in my case, that moment of recognition would be accompanied by a certain vibration inside me that I recognize. So that moment has a signature vibration. The goosebumps and stuff is usually when you're not looking for the signature vibration, and there's like, they have to like sort of like, hello, like, so goosebumps really is just sort of it's an applause affirmation. From what I understand, goosebumps is actually your guides just edging into your field. All they do is they just sort of kiss your field with their field, and it apparently creates goosebumps. So it's sort of a nudge. It's a nudge from the universe.
If people don't know what we're talking about with the goosebumps, it's a real thing. If you hear somebody be like, oh, I just got the chills. If you hear somebody do that, look at their arms. You can literally see the goosebumps and everything. It's like their hairs are standing on end.
Yeah.
They're not making it up, essentially.
No. And that happens in readings all the time. It's sort of like it's almost like the universe applauding, because a lot
Yeah.
of times in a reading, I'll be like, and it's because it was your wife. And we'll be like, oh, people just got goosebumps. You know what I mean? Like, whoa, it's like a conclusionary thing. We're like, oh my God, I've got goosebumps, so do I. Like, you both sit there with that sort of energy. So
Yeah.
it's a hallelujah from God, kind of thing. But
I really like your explanation of the other dimensional beings sort of coming and infiltrating not infiltrating, but like you said, nudging, kind of like bumping into you, because the hair is extension of the nervous system, essentially, which is transmitting electrons or light, depending on how you look at it. And that transcends this three-dimensional reality.
Yes.
And so that would be the signal that comes in as some sort of energetic, magnetic, or light information that would touch your nervous system, that would activate the hairs and make them stand on end.
Completely. Yeah, it literally is. Like, I'm seeing life differently now. Like, I really feel that we're just in a virtual reality game with flesh, that we're in this flesh suit virtual reality game. And just like with headsets and head displays, where right now, if you put on like a Facebook, or Apple Vision Quest, and you had augmented reality, we're creating augmented reality, right? Like where I can see I have a text message came in, and I can see that the weather just changed, and I can see that an app is saying my food is about to be here. That sort of heads up is available in reality in the Matrix. There's also heads up, and the goosebumps is a heads up. It's literally a heads up, like heads up. The Matrix, the energy that we're playing with, the environment is speaking to you, always guiding you in this adventure, always. And we've been trained to ignore it because it's silly and not scientific.
Exactly. We're reduced to this, like, well, if it's not in the book or not on the news, it's not real. I think most of the people watching here or listening are kind of beyond that, hopefully, and they can see or at least hold multiple perspectives in their mind at the same time, even if they're still mostly in one narrative that we all grew up with the program, right? And then just being open-minded to the possibility of other realities allows us to, from my perspective, it seems like triangulation of satellites that's going around the Earth, right? People have heard of triangulation. It essentially means that one satellite can judge whether an object, like how far away it is from it, but it can't really determine its location on Earth unless there's another satellite that also is determining how far away it is, and another satellite. And with those three different perspectives, you can pinpoint the exact location on Earth. And for me, gaining multiple perspective points on life just allows me to have a greater sensation of what we're all doing here, because we really it's up to each of us to determine that. I was going to say we really don't know, but we all know what we know is the more accurate way of saying that. If we can upgrade our software, then we get to know more.
And that's basically like the simplest version of what's happening right now is basically humans are getting a software upgrade. You can't keep running this version. It's being closed down. So you either have to go backwards in the version or you have to go to the next version. You're not allowed to stay at this version. And the triangulation, I totally feel, that's what I teach, in the sense of, I feel like your heart, your emotions, and your intuition are the triangulation. Your heart, your emotions, and your intuition are the triangulation. That's the triangulation of life right there. Notice mind wasn't in that.
Mm-hmm. I did notice that. Because I was like, heart and emotions are really similar. And intuition.
Yes, they're very similar. Well, the heart uses emotion, and so emotion is interesting because it's actually a superpower in the sense that emotion reflects anything. So you can feel your thoughts, you can feel your ego, you can feel your heart, you can feel your intuition, but you can also feel other feelings you once felt. So emotion has a history of feeling. And that history of feeling is in itself a state of awareness. So does the history of the being, but you're also using feelings to read intuition and read the heart. So feeling is a super sensation that basically reflects all awareness.
Man, you just made my mind go crazy. You just made my mind go crazy because an event happens and we have emotions attached to it. Obviously, we experience it in the moment. But if 10 years later we remember that event, it's almost like that event, when it happened, shot out a signal to our 10-year-old or 10-year later self that's existing now. But it's like if we let these emotions, like they're like bursts of feelings that impact us into the future and probably into the past as well, because it's all happening now, but they definitely transcend time and space, which is
100%. In fact, yeah, I mean, like you can actually feeling. So what feelings are is actually our transportation, our time space transportation vehicle. So the feeling of what you and I have right now will actually never be exactly replicated ever again in our entire existence. This particular signature of emotion, which is the connection of me where I am in my history, you where you are in your history, Earth where is in his history, the weather in your place, the weather in my place. Feeling is all the information, all of data of everything coming into one hybrid experience signature that's identified by a sensation inside of me. So if I want to hypnotize you and take you back in space time, I would say, Ra, let's go back to the feeling you had standing on the shores there talking to Christopher. And that will bring, from what I understand, that will actually reanimate life. So it's more than a record. It is the commandment to the matrix, call up this record in the collective conscious Akashic record, the moment that Ra and Chris were in moment. So as a psychic, when I see past lives, I actually pull up the feeling of that moment. And once I have the feeling of that moment, the picture reanimates of that place in their past life for me.
I was going to go there next. So you do have access to travel in this, like basically beyond time.
Yes.
And
yes.
Because ETs and the stuff that I have seen and read and studied, like what you're saying is true. Like they use the emotional states to, like we use legs in this physical reality, they use the emotional states and memories to travel through time, because it's all just data that's existing now, and we can travel through time, but it doesn't happen physically like how we would think happens when we get into a time machine, like in the movies where like the time machine goes somewhere. It's happening in another way. And this is opening up a lot for me. So thank you for sharing. But I wanted, could you elaborate a little bit more on what you do in that aspect of psychic readings? Like, what exactly are you doing with that?
Well, a couple points I want to make to you. One is like the gray aliens have actually lost their connection to emotion. So they have to have a spaceship vibrate to go through space time. They can't do it as an individual. They lost the power over their reincarnating cycle. So humans are special because we're so emotional. We are the spaceship. Your body is the spaceship. You don't need a spaceship to go. You can, with your own mind, command your emotional field to go to different vibrations through space-time. It's one of the reasons why we're so studied in the universe, is because of our unique makeup of who we are. But in a reading, in a reading, we connect energetically, and basically what a reading does is I look at the signs of your chart, which tells me the blueprints of your frequency coming in. So what were all your frequencies coming in the door? Where's the frequencies now? But then in the chart, there are frequencies that are repeating a conscious narrative from a past life. So we all have these conscious narratives that we packed in our spiritual suitcase to basically pick up again and keep working on. So we have some spiritual problems that we take many lifetimes to figure out. We have some spiritual problems we figure out in one lifetime. So there's these ongoing discussions. Plus, you're also reacting to your trauma. So you get traumatized. The next life, you overreact and re-traumatize it a little bit different. So you start creating these compound traumas. right? So, so with my work in a reading, what I'm mostly concerned with is consciously getting you to neutrality and helping you to, turn all those knotted energies into nice, clean, straight, calm awareness inside of you. That's the work I do. But when I hone in to spirit and go, what the hell is this that you packed in your bag? I have this thing take over me where God just shows me real quick, like one flash bulb. It looks like in my third eye, it's like one flash bulb. It's almost like you turn the lights on and off. And in that one flash, I can feel them. I can feel the entire story of what was going on that moment, and I can read into the feeling. I can feel like you're in front of someone. I'm feeling a violent vibe from him, from you. I'm feeling a fearful vibe. So I emotionally reconstruct the karmic moment that led to this current life trauma that you keep repeating because you're obsessed with getting it right this time. The reason why people repeat karma is because they're obsessed with getting it right. So we keep recreating what happened, hoping for a different response.
What's the alternative to getting it right?
So the answer to getting it right is actually getting it according to what your heart desires. So I think as far as ascension is concerned, the first time it happened, you were satisfying your ego. I'll show them. That doesn't get you off the hook because at the end of the day, the instrument of satisfaction is the heart. Everything else, thoughts, feelings, ego, your body, everything else is a child of the heart. The heart is the creation energy, and the heart divides itself into emotion. The heart divides itself into thoughts. The heart divides itself. Love is the energy of the universe. And so love has many, many children and grandchildren of awareness. Probably the slowest and dumbest is the body, actually. I mean, and the body's brilliant, right? The body's brilliant.
Right.
Right. But the body would be the very final creation of that love makes for you. And then you're in all these different states of awareness. So all the planets are all the states of consciousness that make up the human being.
Okay, so through the planets, that's what's connected to the different aspects that the heart divides itself into.
The sun is the heart in our solar system, and the planets are the child of the heart. All the planets are rotating around the heart. So that is the soul system. All of our states of awareness are rotating around our heart. So whenever you want to correct a trauma, the mistake that people make is they try to fix it in the mind, they try to fix it in the emotions, they try to fix it in the ego. I should have been nice. If you fix it in the heart, all other states of awareness will automatically follow the intention. The ego will follow, the mind will follow, the emotions will follow, the body will follow. Every child of the heart will follow a change of heart. So the most powerful work is to just have a change of heart.
And it's the simplest. It might not be easy, but you have all the tools to do that, no matter where you are.
Exactly. And that is really how you control the ride. It's reality. It's all through the heart. That's why Buddhists silence their mind. That's why they meditate. They don't tell you. It's like, what are you meditating on? The heart. Like, no, why is that hidden? What is Buddha doing up there? He's listening to his heart. That's it.
Right.
And your heart will tell you all sorts of things. That's the other thing too. I don't think people realize how intelligent their heart is. The heart is the most intelligent part of your consciousness. So it's like, because it knows it is you. It is you incarnate. It is your soul incarnate. And it is, God created children, they created angels, they created demons. Like, so we're like the great grandchildren of God, really, energetically. We're a ray of light that comes from source. And so your heart is the very final tip of that God expression.
So I think it was this morning or last night, I went deep in my mind about being in elementary school and them teaching us about the Egyptians and the mummies and still having the heart and the brain was out. And I remember getting taught that they just didn't know what was important in the body and they thought the heart was the most important. It's crazy that we're talking about this because I was really just exploring like Like, what? Like, yeah, I was exploring this concept in my mind, I think a few hours ago.
Wow.
About how important the heart is. But we have a question
Sure.
from Kyla. How do we even know what our heart is saying?
That's a very good question. That's something I teach daily because I think the biggest problem with humans is that our conscious has been so condensed because we basically been in fight or flight for about 5,000 years. And so when you're in fight or flight, your ego and your mind take over and hijack your consciousness, your ego, your emotions, and your mind, and it squashes all the rest of you.
Did you say 5,000 years?
Yeah, probably about 5,000 years, I think.
Okay. Could you clarify that before we go on?
Sure. I mean, just knowing Earth's record from what I can understand, like we have been, for the last 5,000 years or so, we have been in fight or flight survival mode. I believe we were already enlightened and fully open spiritual beings in Atlantis and Lamaria, which is an ancient civilization. The last age of Aquarius was Atlantis, just so y'all know. The last age of Aquarius was Atlantis. So when we say it's the age of Aquarius, we're saying it's the return of Atlantis, basically. And after Atlantis fell, the human races stopped incarnating, some went underground. And if you came into a body here, consciousness was so compacted, you couldn't access your heart at all. Like you could not separate your heart from your emotions. You could not separate these states of awareness because they were dense. So we're just now at the point where we can separate, oh, that's my heart. That's my feeling of my heart. That's my mind. That's my mind's thought about my heart, but that's my heart and that's my mind. Like we're learning to create separation or distinction of the vibrations. That's part of the awakening. So the question of the viewer is quite appropriate for the time. We all are trying to find what exactly is the voice of my heart. But the answer is this: you have to do something you enjoy. So when you enjoy something, you enjoy an orange, you enjoy this moment with your honey, when you enjoy it, you're in joy, INJOY, okay? When you're in joy, your heart is activated. You will feel your heart glow. You will feel your heart warm. You will feel your heart excited. You will feel yourself lose sense of space time. Like, where'd all the time go? You're in a state of joy where the time goes, right? That state of joy, that joy you have when you laugh really hard with your friends and you're just sitting there sort of high on life and you don't know what the time is. That state of joy, by the way, is the fifth dimension. That's the fifth dimension. We go in and out of it all the time if we have a good comedy or we have a good moment, but as we all know, it's fleeting, right? So the trick is to identify that feeling in your heart and begin holding that feeling open all the time. So you keep it open. But the way you begin to talk to your heart is you find out what it feels like in your heart. So do something you enjoy, memorize that feeling. That's your heart's voice. And you literally, this is what's going to sound crazy. You literally ask your heart. Now I baby talk my heart. I'll be like, hey, little Chris, hey, buddy, how's it going, man? Like, so I kind of go to a childlike place because it's a child in there. And I'll sort of baby my heart and be like, so do you want to go on this thing here? Or do you want to do this? Like, what should we do? Like, that's the basic of how you start, right? And your heart will be like this. And you'll be like, wow, I didn't tell it to say that. Like you will feel very clearly.
Right.
Like we all know how to talk to our heart. We forgot is what it is. So I just ask my heart, like, is this what my heart wants? And sometimes people will, offer me so many things. I'll be like, hold on. What does my heart want? Like, I know there's choices. I know I can save $100 if I go this way. I know I can, get a free pair of sneakers if I go that way. Sort of like what, basically I would say your heart was telling you, this is the house, dude.
Yeah.
This is the house.
Right.
And your heart was also very honest. Like, it's not the nicest one. Like your heart was like, and that's the other thing about the heart. The heart can deliver truth without judgment. Like, it's not the nicest one on the block, but this is the one we love the most. This is the one our heart lights up for the most. This is the one that will make us most happy in the end. So your heart will always guide you to more of itself. In fact, every state of awareness guides you to more of itself. Your emotions want to guide you to more emotions. Your thoughts want to guide you to more thoughts. Your ego wants to guide you to more competitions. Every part of you wants to be more of you. Every part of you wants to be more of you. But if you focus on the heart, well, then being more of the heart means more joy, more love, more creativity, more, So choose the heart as the primary state of awareness, and eventually your heart will come on to full-on sentences. So I'll give you a little story real quick. I was out shopping for Unite the Light. I'm like you. I like to just be in flip-flops on the beach. Like, so I don't have suits. I don't have anything like that. I'm like, shit, I gotta look good on camera. I don't even know like what store to go to. I'm so like, so need a girl to help me dress. Like, I'm brilliant other places, not with fashion. And I show up without a girl at the mall, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I should go to Neiman Marcus, Macy's. Where do I go? And I was like, I'm just gonna ask my heart. Heart, where are we supposed to go here? Get me to it. And my heart was like, this way. And so I just started walking that way. And then I saw a store, and then I saw a shirt I liked in the store. I'm like, my heart's like, yeah, I like that shirt. So this is the point here. It's like a yellow brick road. So I went in and I looked at that shirt, and then it brought me to the suit section. Long story short, the perfect salesperson came up, totally understood, totally knew my size. By the way, they had all my sizes right there on the rack, all of them, right? Like, they had swap outs, and he goes, do you want to buy some shoes too? And my heart's like, nope, shoes are somewhere else. And I was like, okay, no, he's saying no to the shoes. So didn't even look at the shoes in the first place. The place that would have had matching shoes right there. Long story short, my heart's like, it's in Neiman Marcus. I go Neiman Marcus. My heart's like, go this way. I go that way. There's the shoe department for men's right there. There's a guy standing right there. Hi, how can I help you? We close in 15 minutes. I'm like, oh shit. And there's the shoe I like right there. Oh my God, I love this shoe. So right there, there's the shoe I like the most. I had seen a similar one before, and I was like, oh, that's one I like. Can I try this on? Oh, the floor model's your size. He's like, I just need to find its brother. So it's like, so this is how life is really built. Like, I don't have to waste time shopping. My heart already knows what I want. My heart already knows where it is. My heart already knows that there's a person who's going to take good care of me. I had excellent spiritual care from raw-like people at every place. I was treated like a king the whole time, kind and courteous like I am to others. And it just comes from listening to the heart. That's, to me, that's the world we're building next.
Epic story, an example, an explanation of how to speak to heart. You mentioned Atlantis. So I lived in Lamaria with my wife for like a year. Or did I just say Lamaria? I meant to say Mount Shasta.
You did. I was like, what? I'm like, for a year, it's like, man, this guy's got a cute past-like memory. Jesus.
I did
no wonder they're travel raw
into the earth and in a meditation once. But I lived in Mount Shasta. We lived in Mount Shasta. And so I was reading a ton about Lamaria and Atlantis. Yes. So when you say that Atlantis was in the age of Aquarius, are you speaking from like, does the precession of the equinoxes tie into that? So, because somebody was like, what happened to Atlantis? From my understanding, precession of the equinoxes is almost like seasons that we experience in a year. And so like right now we're kind of in spring, which is what you were suggesting, that everything's getting turned on, which would make sense that that's when Atlantis and Lemuria was coming up. And then as the spring and summer plays itself out, you eventually get to fall. And then that's where they experience the fall of their civilizations. But that's like a 25,920 degree cycle of a precession of the equinoxes year. So we're talking about tens of thousands of summertime, tens of thousands of years, 10,000 years of summertime, essentially, that they were existing. But it would make sense that Atlantis was coming up at the time, 26,000 years ago today for our time. And that would fit into like the ages of the pyramid, the true ages of the pyramids as well. They're not 3,000, years old.
No, they're tens of thousands. From what I understand, so you're completely right. Like Almeria, which is called something else. I think it's called the land of Mu. Almeria is just from one researcher, but it's a very common name, and I use Almeria. Was a continent, really a series of island continents in the Pacific. And they actually were here first before the Atlanteans. They were the first space alien colonies to come down here. They actually created like the whales and the dolphins, and they like did most of the sea life for us. So like Aquaman and mermaids and all that stuff comes from Lemuria. That's all Lemuria legend. And Atlantis actually got into war with Lamaria and pretty much destroyed Lamaria. And Lemurians went to Mount Shasta to live underground in caves underground. So Mount Shasta allegedly still has the Lemurians living in underground in the mountain. Yeah, precession of the equinox is actually, the Earth is actually wobbling still from the Big Bang. It's like still kind of wobbling, like a Weeble wobble, right? And so it takes 25,900 years for it to Weeble wobble once. So it's really just it Weeble wobbling. And so every time, and what happens is it points as it's wobbling, it points part of itself towards another like north. So it creates a new north for the Earth, so to speak, which then means in the spring equinox, a different zodiac sign will rise on the horizon at sunrise in spring. So spring equinox, which is Aries right now, is actually Pisces. So right now the Earth is actually pointing to Pisces in the spring equinox, not Aries, because the Earth has wobbled since we created astrology to the next sign. And that's actually the difference between Vedic and Western astrology. Vedic astrologers go, no, you should follow the wobble. Western astrologers go, no, it should be where it started when we first started measuring wobble. And so we're both arguing how to calibrate, like what to look at. But what it means is that every 26,000 years, the Earth does wobble to where it's pointing, to where Aquarius is what's rising on the spring equinox. That's the age of Aquarius. When Aquarius is rising, when you get up on, spring equinox, March 20th, you look at sunrise. If Aquarius is on the horizon at sunrise on March 20th, we're in the age of Aquarius. That's basically how you do it. So the last time Aquarius was rising at sunset was Atlantis. But there's another part of alignment too, which is the entire solar system. Okay, we have a midpoint of our entire, everything is orbiting around in the Milky Way around this black hole in the center called the galactic center. Everything is orbiting around this center. And apparently from the center are high charge conscious particles, like proton conscious particles that come from the center. And so the entire solar system, every planet in the whole sun, is also swinging like a pendulum, like this, back in front of the black hole in the center. And so we apparently swing into the proton enlightenment belt and we swing out of it, and we swing into the proton enlightenment belt and we swing out of it. So the dark ages are when we are out of the belt. So the other thing about the age of Aquarius is, with all the swinging, it just so happens that every time that Aquarius is rising on the horizon on the first day of spring, we happen to also be in the middle of the belt. So the age of Aquarius happens to be the most enlightened time for us as Earth. It could have been the age of Leo that we had this photon belt experience, but it just turns out with the swinging and the timing of things that it's Aquarius. It's Aquarius. So when the Earth is pointing, that's about 2,200 years or so per sign,
right?
Usually. But it varies actually because of the way things work with orbits. Yeah. So not every sun is exactly equal.
Exactly. It's it stays more in some signs than the other. So
yes,
I might have just missed it, because is the wobble, the way it was explained to me was that wobble, sometimes it points towards the center of the galaxy, sometimes it's away. But what's causing that pendulum swing that you were talking about? Is it the precession or is it something else?
That pendulum swing is something with the astromechanics of the entire Milky Way. We don't know. We just know that's happening. Like, we're not quite sure.
Right.
And the other thing that's interesting too, if you want to just keep blowing your mind, is like because the universe is expanding at an increasing rate.
Yep.
The Earth is never in the same spot every year. Every year, the Earth moves like 1 inch. One of us is.
All right,
I'm back.
I got you back. So the last thing I heard, I'm not sure who was frozen there, but the Earth is moving. It's constantly moving in motion.
Yeah, the Earth is constantly it's constantly moving through space-time. So it's kind of interesting as far as like consciousness gets stored in the space-time. So empty space, dark matter, is what's holding all the memories of humans, is in the dark matter. So what's interesting is sort of like a record player, the earth is constantly spinning and it's always moving a little bit farther out. So we're literally creating conscious records as the earth spins around and moves through space-time. We're creating conscious records in dark matter.
That's amazing. And then
Interesting.
yeah. And then there's a being, it's probably a greater aspect of ourself that's able to play those records.
Oh, 100%. Actually, well said. So from what I understand between Earth, that's exactly what you do. So when you're in heaven, this is a full circle on conversation. If you want to replay that record in heaven, we vibrate to that signature of what it felt like to be in front of each other in that moment. And as soon as we feel that signature, we are catapulted instantly and we reanimate the experience that we were at through the feeling of the sensation of the frequency.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the capabilities we have there.
We can look at any space and time. And from what I understand, you can also reincarnate in any space and time. You and I could decide to go to, World War II
right
after this life. If you wanted to, you could go back to World War II and you could play, someone in a camp, or you could play a soldier. You can play any role at any time. You could even be right now playing another character in your life, which is what we call a twin flame. So
twin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, essentially, we're playing us right now too, right?
Right. But you could also be playing your wife right now, who is your twin flame. You could be playing both you and your wife.
And does the twin flame concept mean that is it always revolving around love and connection, or is there
love for self? Because your twin flame is yourself in another body. So you're looking at you. What you're doing in a twin flame situation is you're going, there's a side of me that's always greedy, and there's a side of me that's always generous. I'm not sure which side is right. Why don't I put them both in the game together and see how they work it out? So it's sort of like, it's you being able to explore different hypotheses that you have about life in 2 points of presence at the same time. Sometimes it's that you want to do something profound. So like, I believe Einstein and his wife are twin flames. I believe that was him and his wife were both the same soul. So his wife knew all the math, the part of him that knows math, and then the other part of him that knows how to download ideas from the universe and come up with brilliant ideas went to the other vessel. And then the two halves of him worked out those equations. So a lot of times, like with the Curies, a lot of times power couples are twin flames, because if you can't bring that. Earth is a dense, again, we're in 3D, so there's not a lot of leg room. You can only bring so much of your soul down in this really small 3D environment. You can't bring there's not enough room in one human body to hold the magnificence of Ra. Ra can only dip his finger in and his thumb. Now, once Earth goes to a higher plane, there won't be a need to divide like that, from what I understand. You'll be able to come in your entirety into the reality game.
With the sensation, yeah, you'll have a sensation of your entirety here.
Yes, you'll have the memory of your entirety. So a lot of twin flame stories, like Romeo and Juliet, like when you first discover yourself in the flesh, like the first time, yeah, all you do is have sex, and it's just crazy. It's like really twisted masturbation in a way. Like like it's like there's a reputation they just can't get out of bed, and they always fight with each other. That's because you're in the raw of learning, RAW of learning, how to get along with yourself.
Please expand on that, because that's a topic that is very interesting to people. Is like, why is the passionate lover also the one that I fight with all the time?
There's 2 reasons for that. One is that it could be that it's a version of you. So if it's a twin flame, it's versions, you're tapping into tensions within your relationship to yourself that have never been able to find an expression. So there's tension with yourself. You come down as a twin flame. A lot of twins, like identical twins, are twin flames. Like they literally played both brothers, or they played the brother and the sister. They played both. But then there's people who are not our exact match. They have incredible passion, but like there's not a lot of but other things don't work in the relationship, and that has to do with energy differentials. So if you have somebody who is like has a very high vibration, and you have someone who has a very low vibration, the bad guy, right? The guy that's bad for me, and you go have sex, the gravity of that energy pouring from the high to the low, that is the amazing sex. But the fact that they live at different levels means it's not going to work out past that sex because they live on different levels. But it's a huge high. So people get addicted to the actual energy differential and the experience of the energy differential, so that the bigger the difference. And so when I, for instance, bring up clients who are like, I don't know why I keep going back to him. I don't know why the sex is good. I don't know why, I'm like, let's see his chart. And it's like the woman is like super high vibration. The man is like totally like new to earth and a punk. He's like got strong ego. So he's worked out the macho and the, and the phallic symbols and all those types of things, but he hasn't worked out like compassion. He's got all of his other levels are very low for her. Plus he's physically attractive. So she's attracted to the male part that's, super macho. The rest is missing. The connection is that all her energy is pouring through her in the lovemaking to fill all of his void. So she's the passion is she's filling his void.
Yeah, it's like magnetic.
Exactly.
That it's pulling you in.
Yes, together. Yeah, it's like two magnets like coming together like that. Now, I think when you get out of that cycle, so that's a certain level of sex right there. But there's also another level of sex, which is the union of the soul or the Kundalini connection. And from what I understand, I hear about it. I haven't tried it yet. It's amazing. It's definitely got it on the docket for the second half of the life. But from what I understand, that's a different sort of utopia pleasure. It's not like goosebumps, I'll tell you the difference. If you suddenly detach from the person after making love, okay, you're in a low, high vibration sexual thing. Okay. If you, after making love, feel that you are one with them, you feel like one, and you're not like cat bears on the dresser. If you're like cat bears on the dresser, hope you have a good time. That was an imbalanced sexual moment. If you just want to keep holding each other and you feel connected and you don't want to separate, then you've had a high vibration sexual union.
Yeah,
that's how you tell.
It's almost like if you got the connection of the root or the sacral center, it's like how far up does that energy go? Does it go up to? Are you connecting at the heart level, or even like up into like a cosmic, like third eye or crown to crown level through the union of sexual intercourse? Like, where is that arc connecting? Is it just here, or is it connecting up to the whole being of each other?
Well said. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Brilliant. You're absolutely correct. That is the difference right there. So they stay in the root chakra level. And that's because one of the two partners doesn't have awareness beyond the root chakra.
Right. And it's who can ignore our body? And so like, even if you're up here, like the urges of the body are the urges of the body, and really easy to listen to and fulfill and feel like you're in joy while you're doing that. But then, like you're saying, pay attention to what happens after the fact, after that emptyingness has happened. Are you still there? Are you still present?
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. Once the root goes away, is there anything left?
Yeah.
Once the root calms down, is there anything left? Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Well, guys, Chris and I are going to be in Austin May 12th, which is this Sunday. And then what's the name of the conference again?
UniteTheLight.love.
UniteTheLight.love for the weekend after. So all that's coming up soon.
Yep.
Chris, always a pleasure. Mind-blowing conversation. Thank you so much for having that with me and for sharing so openly. You're impacting many people. And you guys definitely check out Chris, his YouTube, his Instagram. You'll get this level of awareness by doing that.
Thanks, Ron.
Chris,
you're a pleasure. Looking forward to being in your presence, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, take care, everybody.
Take care. Bye. Thank you.